everyone. Please say hello if you're hopping on to let me know if you can see me and hear me live. Welcome to Awoken TV. This is the first episode of Therapeutic Wisdom from the Akash here on Awoken TV. My name is Laura Mazzotta and I am the Akashic therapist, and I will tell you all about me in just a moment. But first, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about Awoken TV. If this is the first time you're joining us, please say hello, let me know where you're tuning in from, and take a moment to share this out for anyone who you think may need some additional wisdom, healing, support today. I'm going to be talking today about the difference between traditional therapy and Akashic therapy. I have been a therapist for almost 20 years in the mental health community, still am. And I also have integrated energetic and spiritual healing into my practice. So Awoken TV, thank you so much for joining us here. I'm so blessed to be able to be part of this Awoken community. It's like a spiritual, metaphysical Netflix. And it also has a mystery school. So head over to awokentv.com, www.awoken.tv actually, awoken.tv. And you will find a community of light workers, conscious filmmakers, and access to courses and other shows as well to be able to assist you with your journey into self-development, spiritual awakening, etc. You can also find Awoken TV in the App Store. So let me know if you're having trouble finding that. So again, say hello if you're hopping on. Feel free to share this out for anyone that you would like to share in this wisdom with you. I have been a therapist for almost 20 years in New York, and I'm about an hour north of New York City. I have 3 kids, and I am a very busy mama because I have 2 businesses going right now. I have my traditional therapy business, and then I also have my spiritual business that I've been building over the past couple of years. So I just want to give you a little bit of information about me since you guys have never met me before. And then once I give you that background, I'm going to let you know what the Akashic Records are, how you can use them in your life, and how it can really expand your ease, energy, and confidence. So I have been living in New York for, I guess, about 20 years at this point. And I love my job. I love being a therapist, love being a mom. And everything was going really, really well until I got sepsis about 4 years ago. So I got sepsis, and it was completely out of nowhere. I was hospitalized for a few days, and I've had a very long road to physical recovery since then. And I've always been invested in personal development given my profession. And I've always incorporated my own therapy, my own supports, my own coaching. So it wasn't something that I just shared with others, but something that I experienced personally as well. And when I got sick, I was able to enter a level of physical and emotional healing that I had never accessed before. I was only getting so far in the medical community. So what I did was I started researching other ways that I could assist myself and heal myself. And I went to naturopaths, countless doctors, countless holistic practitioners and energy healers. And the Akashic Records are the modality that really blew me away and completely surprised me because I was very skeptical at first of this whole world. I was very used to being in my mental health box. And so it was definitely a challenge of faith for me. I've always been a very spiritual person, but I came more from a traditional religious background. So when the Akashic Records gave me the results that I was looking for, I couldn't make sense of it in my mind. And that's what I learned over time, is that you can't necessarily make sense of these things with the conscious mind, and that's okay, because the results are what we're looking for. We're looking for ease, we're looking for healing, we're looking for wellness, we're looking for confidence, correct? And I found all of these things in the space of the Akashic Records. When I leave the space of the records, I can't open them late at night because they give me so much energy. They awaken me so enormously. So I am now on a mission to share this space with everyone who will listen, because I know how life-changing it can be. And it is a space that can require a little bit of patience For people who have already had intuitive experience, the downloads from the Akashic records when you enter this space are much more palpable, and you can bring messages through more quickly. But when you haven't had as much experience, you need to muster up that patience, right, friends? That patience that can be so hard for human beings sometimes. I'm also not seeing comments, so please say hello if you guys are here. And it's possible that I don't have comments. I just want to make sure that I don't want you guys to think that I'm ignoring you if you're saying hello. So let me just check over here on my phone to make sure that this is working well. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about the difference between traditional therapy and Akashic therapy. So traditional therapy, raise your hand, say hello, whether you're here live or on the replay. Raise your hand and let me know if you've been to therapy before and what your experience has been like. I went to therapy on and off my entire life since the time that I was about 7 when my parents got divorced. And I loved it. It was a great support for me. Honestly, it was what motivated me to become a therapist, because the man that I went to see initially was so lovely and wonderful and held such beautiful, comforting space for me that I wanted to be able to offer that to others. So I followed that path for that reason, which was lovely. And it provided me with great support. And I know that it was integral to me getting through the stages of my life that I was going through at the time. And like I said, I've been to therapy on and off. So I kind of went in for certain issues and then I went back for other issues, and et cetera, et cetera. So while that's been a great support, what I've realized over the past 4 years with my own very deep healing with my physical body is that it only offers one layer of healing. So while I feel it offers a very powerful and productive role in people's lives, I feel it's one step, right? It's one layer. It helps us with our cognitive functioning. It helps us with some clarity and some ability to really be able to function in our lives. But what I've noticed in my own patients, in addition to my own life, is that there's issues that sometimes, not always, but sometimes can run under the surface, okay? And they are cycles and patterns that continue to show up in people's lives. And then they get frustrated because they feel like, all right, I'm hitting my head against a wall. I keep working so hard at applying these therapeutic techniques, constantly working to keep my mind positive, to keep myself functioning, to keep myself from spiraling, right? And although those can be helpful tools, they're also Band-Aids. They're temporary. And over time, if you practice these things, yes, you're going to internalize them for sure. But it still stays at the cognitive level. Unless you're looking into therapy such as there's hypnosis, like hypnotherapy, which I consider more of an energetic tool, to be honest. Or if you're looking into something like EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization response, where you're really using different eye movements to remap and rewire the brain. Okay, and those are helpful, but again, that's still targeting it at a neurological level, which is a physical level. Our physical bodies are the densest level of energy that exists. So when we go from this dense physical energy to the high vibration space of the Akashic records, it can feel a little bit like a shock to the system, right? Because you're shifting from super low density to the highest level of frequency you can get to, right? So when we open the Akashic records, we like to balance that energy with a meditation before we enter that space. So by the time something comes up in your physical body and you're having physical symptoms, it's already passed through the energetic realm. It's already passed through the emotional body. It's already passed through the mental body, right? And it's showing up in the physical body. So we have a lot more healing to do than if we had caught it. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for saying hello so that I know the comments are working. Thanks so much for saying hi and being here. So yeah, so in traditional therapy, we're able to tackle the physical manifestation of what's coming through energetically. And the physical manifestation can include emotions, right? So we obviously help you to manage and regulate emotions in traditional therapy. We all do all of these things in healing work as well, and in the space of the Akashic records. But when you do the energetic work, you're working and shifting the building blocks of what creates the emotions, of what creates the physical pain, right? So energy is in everything. Everything in our world is composed of atoms and molecules that are moving and shifting and vibrating all the time. Physical objects have a denser energy, so they're going to vibrate much closer together. And things like air have a more dispersed energy, so those atoms and molecules are flying all over the place, right? So we want to be able to tackle this energy when it's coming in a little bit more dispersed rather than when it's gotten all tightly packed. Because when it's tightly packed, it's a little bit harder to separate. It takes more time. So that's why I say that this work can, unless you've had previous intuitive experience, it can take a little bit more time. But what it does is you're shifting the building blocks from the root up. People always say, I want to get to the root of the problem. I want to get to the source of the problem. And yes, we've done that many, many times as a traditional therapist in traditional therapy. But again, we're getting to the level that our conscious minds are aware of. And we really need to get to and shift those things that our conscious minds are not aware of. And 95% of what we experience on a daily basis exists in the subconscious mind, are things that we are not readily aware of. Okay? And part of energy healing is being okay with not having every specific answer all the time and just knowing and trusting that as you do this work, it's shifting and you're expanding and improving. And that was one of the hardest parts for me is I was like, well, I want to know. But okay, so I pulled up this energy. Well, what does it mean? And what is it there for? And sometimes it still is productive to get those answers. And we can get those answers in the space of the Akashic records. But I also think it's a very, very good learning experience for us humans who want to have control and want to have an agenda to surrender a little bit and say, I know things are shifting and I trust things are shifting and I'm going to just lean back and watch it happen. I'm going to observe. So when we heal this energy from the root up, guess what? It's no longer a Band-Aid. It's no longer temporary. It is long-lasting healing. So it's not just that we're training our brains for something to become automatic, but it's something we're internalizing into the core of our being, to the energetic building blocks, which don't just exist there to build what we already have, but exist there to build things that are even greater and more expansive, to open ourselves up to growing and changing and becoming a better version of ourselves. So I consider myself I have been a very successful therapist. I have helped countless numbers of clients heal and transform. So that's why this work has blown my mind, because I thought I had it on, I had it going on, right? And I still do. But my intuition expanding has enhanced my work with my clients tenfold. Even before I started doing the actual work with them, just them being in my energetic presence when I'm in the space of the Akashic records is transforming for them, because just being in this space is healing. So the Akashic records, for those of you who don't know, are like a spiritual library in the sky. So you picture this library. I'm a very visual person. So you picture this library up in the sky, and it's manned by all of your angels, ascended masters, guides, loved ones who have passed. So it's protected and held safe. And when we open up your record, it's like taking the book of you off the shelf, opening it up, and it has all the information about you from the time your soul first incarnated all the way through future lives. So it's like Google for the soul. You can ask any question you want and get information from the Akashic records. The only rule is not asking yes or no questions. You can. I have before, and sometimes I get answers, but for the most part, they're going to answer in a way that isn't yes or no. They're very chatty, which is a good thing. I'm also very chatty, so we get along well. And that's the other piece that I really want to point out about this, that I think is a very key difference between traditional therapy and Akashic therapy. So one of the guideposts and the foundations of traditional therapy is the relationship between the therapist and client. You can have a therapist who has countless numbers, eons of tools in their toolbox, and they're very proficient and effective at delivering these tools and sharing these tools. Okay? But if that relationship and connection isn't there, are you really going to listen to them? Are you really going to respect them? Are you really going to implement what they have to say? Right? So that connection has to be there. And why? Right? Well, that's energy, friends. That's the energetic exchange that feels nice and smooth between two people who are meant to come together on their soul path and work together and transform deep levels of shifting and healing in areas that need growth. So the same applies with the Akashic records and Akashic therapy, but you know what's so awesome and empowering about it is that you get to cultivate that relationship with your Akashic records, with your guides, your angels, your ascended masters. Hey, Sherry, thanks for being here, love. So that's one of the big differences that I see between traditional therapy and Akashic therapy is that Akashic therapy is much more empowering. Because while we do this work, you are cultivating your relationship not with me, but with the messages and the beings that are available in your Akashic records. And I liken it to, it's just like developing any relationship. If I meet somebody new, I'm going to have, hey, John, I got to get out my drum and I can jam along with you. So that's what's beautiful is it's just like cultivating a relationship with anybody else. Where you meet somebody new, you're going to learn about them. You're going to try to get information about them. Understand how they tick, how they think, how they behave, how they work. And then you kind of observe and you interact over a period of time and you start to learn how this relationship can become smoother and how it can serve you. Same thing goes with the Akashic records. You want to learn, how do I bring through messages in this space? And I actually have a free Zoom call on Sunday night that you guys can sign up for. I'll put a link in the comments where you can learn how to open your Akashic records, how to bring through messages. I'll teach you all of it. Because like I said, I think everybody should have this skill because it's a brilliant way to empower ourselves to not only heal, but just to make your life amazing. Even if you don't feel like you need to heal right now, good for you. I celebrate you. It still offers you the next level of amazing. And don't we all want that? Right? So when you cultivate this relationship with your Akashic records, you have that forever. So once you're done with me, because my job is to be scarce, right? My job is to show up, teach you the skills, teach you the tools, and then you can say, peace, I got this. And then you have this for the rest of your life. And you have this relationship with divine intelligence. Because like I said, I feel I'm very effective at what I do. But I'll sit with a client who's been with me for like 10 years. We sit down, we have a conversation. Oh, this is great. She's telling me, oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I think the direction I want to go. That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. I empower you to step into that. Makes a lot of sense based on your history, based on who you are, based on how you tick. We open her Akashic records and they say, yeah, no, that's not the right move for her. So it's very, very humbling, right? It's very humbling because although I'm very skilled, I'm still a human. Right? There's nothing I can do about the fact that I'm human, right? I'm still a human, which means that I have a certain level of limitation for what I can see unless I access a divine space like the Akashic records. And you can access this state through meditation as well. But the Akashic records are they're more structured, they're more ritual based, which I like. I also feel very safe in that space because it truly gets to be that easy that you just show up in the space of the Akashic records and you allow them to guide you, right? Because I can be sitting with a client and based on what I know of them and how I've made sense of things and understand what they've been going through, I'm able to make suggestions. But when I enter their records, I get information on what their soul purpose is. I can't just know that by looking at someone. But how do I know what they're here for, what they're meant to do in this world, how they're meant to move forward? So that's what the Akashic Records helps. It's not just, okay, I'm going to give you guidance so that you feel comfortable in this life, so that you feel like you can function well. It's also, how do I support you in moving towards fulfilling your soul purpose? And we can access that through the space of the records. Okay. The other beautiful difference between traditional therapy and the space of the records is that it prevents burnout for the practitioner, and it prevents burnout for the patient. Because when I'm in the space, I'm receiving healing at the same time that I'm offering it. So I'm going to have a lot more energy, clarity, and focus being in that space than if I were not in that space. Again, it's heightening my frequency. It's giving me perspective from beings who have been not only watching everything unfolding on this earth, but have gone through their own journeys and experiences to be able to share with us, that are not just limited to our little microcosm, right? They're global and universal perspectives. And when the patient is in that space as well, not only do they benefit from the energy, but they get to that ease and flow that I'm talking about. They don't have to rack their brains and work so hard to say, all right, I gotta figure this out. How am I supposed to do this? I'm so confused. I'm so overwhelmed. You get to take that out of it and just allow it to flow. Okay, so let me know what questions you guys have. Let me know if you have questions about the Akashic Records, questions about traditional therapy, questions about the difference between traditional therapy and Akashic therapy. And while I give you a moment to ask those, I'm just going to share the difference between what sessions look like. Because when you have traditional therapy, you go into a session, you have whatever it is that's on your mind that day, and you, right? You just let it out. This is what I need to do. This is what I want to focus on. And you guys talk about it, and then you come up with strategies, you use tools. It's a lot of kind of like brainstorming together, right? It's brainstorming together, but it's also just being in that other person's presence, speaking what's going on in your mind. Just like if you were journaling something, when we speak something out loud, we process, we organize it, right? It helps the process of organization cognitively. And then we tackle what's coming up. Whereas in the Akashic Records, it's not like, all right, it's not problem focused. It's not as problem focused. I've always been a very solution focused therapist, but the fact is when people go to therapy, they come in with a problem that they want to fix, right? In the Akashic Records, it's like, all right, let me embrace you for who you are, your entire wholeness, meaning anything that you may label as negative, anything you might label as positive or neutral, all of it can come up here. I embrace you for the soul that you are, for the fact that you're here playing a part on this planet, giving to other people, exchanging with other people, and helping other people grow. How can I help you become more at ease with that and flow with that more so that you can allow this into your life? That's the difference in approach. And with Akashic sessions, you can come in with very pointed questions, but it's a very focused approach. Like I said, it's very structured in that way. So you come in with certain questions, and this is how I run them. Don't get me wrong. There are other Akashic Records practitioners who operate differently because this space is infinite with infinite possibilities. It's constantly unfolding for me. The more and more I access this space, the more I have access to. So you can ask pointed questions, but one of the most powerful things is just to show up in this space and basically say, show me what I need to know. And allow them to tell you from their perspective, divine intelligence, what is best for you to hear right now, to come into alignment with, to shift and change for your highest good and for the highest good of all. Right? Because divine intelligence is not just saying, oh, Laura, I want to make your life great. They want the entire planet, the entire universe to be moving toward a mutual goal, a universal goal. And I don't want that to overwhelm you, because when you're in the space of the Akashic records, you're never going to receive anything that you can't integrate. And that's the last reason that it's incredibly beneficial to do Akashic therapy in addition to traditional therapy or separate from, is because you never have to worry. Like if I have a patient who's suicidal and I'm concerned about my level of feedback or about, okay, like, is this patient safe, right? And of course I'm still going to assess that, but I don't want to walk on eggshells, right? I'm not going to walk on eggshells to get to the point where, all right, well, I can't say that because I don't want them to be unstable. When you're in the space of the records, you couple that conscious wisdom with knowing that the Akashic records are not going to allow any information to come through that that patient is not going to be able to safely integrate and receive to move forward on their path in the way that they are meant to. So it's a very safe space. And you can be completely authentic. You can curse in that space, yes. That's a lot of the questions I get. Can you curse in that space? Yes, you can. What's beautiful is that they bring through information that is going to be communicated to you in a way that you understand. So they're going to use terminology, images, etc., that are familiar to you or that make sense to you so that you can understand this conversation. Because, it's not easy at first to, if you've never done intuitive work, to tune in and say, all right, I know exactly what they're saying, because they're not speaking to you face to face like a human being would, right? So let me know if you guys have any questions, and you're welcome to post questions on the replay as well. Just write #replay and tag my name if you have a question, Laura Knapp Mazzotta, and I'm happy to come back and answer any questions for you. I'm going to be live here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and I believe it's 3 p.m. UK time. So I hope you'll continue to join me and offer any kind of questions or material or feedback that you would like to know about mental health in the space of the Akashic records. We're going to be exploring different diagnoses, different mental health diagnoses in the space of the Akashic records with this show. And not just diagnoses that have been created by the human world, right? We're also going to be focusing just on issues that come up in our mental health on a regular basis, like self-doubt, guilt, anxiety, lack of confidence, things like that, okay? But I'm happy to hear your feedback and also take requests for areas of mental health that you would like to explore from the perspective of divine intelligence. This is a brilliant resource that we have access to bring through perspective and healing for ourselves and for our planet. So I hope you'll continue to join me here on Fridays on Awoken TV. And you can check out the website at www.awoken.tv. And you can also join me on Sunday night. I'll put the link in the comments for Akashic Records 101. You can find that event posted on Emerge Healing and Wellness as well, which is my Facebook page. Again, that's a free Zoom event. I'm going to teach you all about the Akashic Records, how you can access your records, and how you can download messages from that space. So I hope you'll join me. Thank you so much for joining me today or on the replay, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.